Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to show you guys how to create an auto layout table in just a few minutes. As you can see, this auto layout table is very responsive, and if I take out some text and I tend to adjust this particular department column, you can see that other columns adjust with it, which is super cool when creating a table, because sometimes the text of some columns are longer than some of the text in other columns, and you can easily adjust this, and you can easily make changes to the content in your column. So guys, please do stick around and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell if you find any of my videos helpful. So I'm going to be creating the table in this admin dashboard that I created in a few videos. So the first thing you're going to do is to have an area where you want to create your table. So now the first thing we are going to then start doing is to create our table cells. So the first thing is to hit a text tool and write table head. You can call it anything, but this is going to be the header cell. So for this header cell, I'm going to hit Shift A on this text to create an auto layout on it, and I'm going to fill the background with a light gray color. So for this table head, I'm also going to make it a component by clicking on this create component button, and I'm going to create another variant. So this variant, I want it to be the cell body or the body cell, and for this cell body, I'm going to make it white. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to paste in the icons I'm going to be using for this particular variant of the body cell. So I'm going to increase this a little bit more, and you can find all of these icons from this design file that I'm going to put in the description. So here I'm going to create more variants of this particular body cell. So if you're going to be having a table with just text, you don't need to create more variants, but because I'm going to be having different versions of this body cell, that's why I have these different variants I'm going to be creating. So I'm going to create 3 more variants for this particular body cell, and the first variant is just going to be text, obviously, so I'm going to remove all of these icons that have been pasted. The second variant is going to be only the checkbox, so I'm going to remove everything but the checkbox. The next variant is going to be a body cell that has the image and the text, so I'm going to remove all of the icons from these variants and leave just this. And for this particular last um, variant, I'm going to remove everything else but the edit and delete button. So these are the different versions of the body cells we are going to be having. And of course, if you're going to be having just text, you can just leave it as just one body cell variant. So from here, you can see that some of these cells vary in height because of the differences in the icons and image that are there. So I'm going to select all of this cell, and I'm going to give them a fixed height of, let's say, 44 pixels, something that works for all the cells. So once I have this, we have all our building blocks for our table. We can then start building our table. So from here, I'm going to bring in our table head, and here is supposed to be table body, so we don't get confused, although we are going to rename the properties, but just so we are not confused, this is going to be table body. And before we start bringing it in, what we can do is I'm going to click on the entire component, and here that we have property 1, we can call it cell style. And for the cell style, we can go ahead to start renaming the different variants in it. So for this, it's going to be table head for the property here. We can go and go to the next. We can go to the next cell, and we can call this text cell. We can go to the next one and call this checkbox cell. The next is going to be we can say image and text cell. Here for the last one, we can call it action buttons. So now that we have all our cells properly renamed, if you click on the one we have in here, you can see that it has the property of table head. We can go ahead to bring in the table body. You can pick any of the table body, and I'm going to select both of these instances, and I'm going to hit Shift A. You can use the preferred spacing that you like, but I'm going to be using 8 pixel, And from here, the next thing I want to do is to select both of these items that is inside this auto layout frame, because we've hit shift A on on both of these cells, right? So click on the items in them, and I'm going to come to this width section, and I'm going to make it fill container. I'm going to explain why this has to be fill container later in the video, but here we are going to make it fill container. And from here, what we want to do is we want to draw out the section where we want our table to exist. So to have a guide, I'm going to click on this particular page, and I'm going to turn on the grid column for this, and I'm going to draw out a frame where I want our table to be. Next, I'm going to put a stroke just so that we can see this particular section, and we can see where or what we are doing. So I'm going to turn off this layout grid, and this particular section is where I want the table to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create different duplicates of this particular column. So before I do that, I'm going to hit shift A on it one more time, and as you can see, it should have this horizontal layout. Make sure it's going to this direction. Then I'm going to select the auto layout frame that is in it, and I'm going to create multiple duplicates of this depending on how many columns we want. So for here, the first thing, this particular section is going to be the checkbox section. So I'm going to make this the checkbox cell, which is going to be the same thing as the body cell. It's going to be the checkbox cell. So the next one here is going to be I'm going to call this employee's name. The next is going to be email address. The next is going to be department. The next is going to be role. So you just go ahead to fill in the header sections for the table you're building. This is going to be action. So once you have this, I'm going to click on the auto layout wrapper that wraps all of this, and I'm going to just align it properly to the section we created, and I'm going to increase this size up to the end of this particular section. Next, I'm going to select all of this one after the other, and I'm going to come here, and I'm also going to fill container. Now you can see that these particular columns have stretched to fill up the container where we are having our tables. But of course, you can see that some of these columns are not supposed to be as large as they are. So we can go ahead to reduce the size of some of these, like the checkbox, for instance, and maybe the action buttons. So while we have this, you can see that we can then switch some of the cells to fit its respective header. So for this action button, we can then switch the cell here to be action button. And for the employer's name, I want a situation where it shows up both the name and the image. So I'm going to change this body cell to image and text cell. So the next thing is I'm going to add some actual values for this cell body instead of just saying table body, table body. So I'm going to go ahead to give it some realistic naming. So once you've gone ahead to name all your body cells, just to give it a realistic feel, the next thing we want to do right now is to create more duplicates of this. So I'm going to select this, and create like 2 more duplicates. You can go ahead to turn or to remove this stroke so that it doesn't look weird. And you can see that this table is really spaced out. You can go ahead to work on the spacing if you want to have different spacing structure. So in my case, I think I'm fine with this spacing. The only thing I'm going to do is to try as much as possible to reduce the spacing between the columns. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to make it 0. So you can see that it's all on a single row, and this looks so much better. And you can see also the text are centered, so you can go to your cells and make sure you align this properly to the left. So as you can see, this looks so much better. And for this checkbox, you can go ahead to give it the header color. which is this light shade of gray that we are using, and you can make this, and you can make the fill of the checkbox a little lighter so that it's visible. And here you have a very nice looking table. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to see you in my next video, and I'm going to put the link to this file in the description section so that you have a template to work with. And if you've not seen my dashboard video, please, I'm also going to put the link there to watch how to create a simple dashboard in Figma. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to see you in my next video.